Why don't you identify your question and I'll come back to you. And the president and this entire administration are focused on that every day. I can go through the very long list of economic actions this president has taken. I know you work for Bloomberg, so I'm sure you're well.
Some of those cabinet members were caught off guard by the email.
Nobody was caught off guard. The president campaigned on reigniting the Trump economy and fixing the mess that was created by the previous administration. We know they created an economic and an inflation nightmare for the American people, and I'm not going to stand up here and lie to you like my predecessor.
Musk has obviously been doing a lot of work. He's been working every day, and a lot of the time weekends. He is designated as a special government employee, which means that he can only work 130 days per year. Is the White House expecting him to limit his work to 130 days, or are you going to work around those rules? Do you want to see him extend beyond the 100?
So today is February 25th, so I think we've been here about 35 days, roughly. So ask me in another 100 days. That Democrats behaving like children would be the least surprising thing of the night.
Karoline Leavitt just gave a press briefing where she completely took apart the woke Democrats one by one. This time, she went all out, exposing their shocking hypocrisy live on TV. She started with the topic of tariffs and didn't hold back, shutting them down with facts.
The president mentioned a little disturbance during his remarks yesterday. The CEO of Target says that consumers will likely see prices go up on everything from strawberries to bananas to avocados. How long should Americans expect to pay higher prices? Are we talking a week, a couple of days, a few months?
Again, I don't have a crystal ball, but what I can assure the American people is that this president and this administration is doing everything they can. And I would remind you and everybody else in this room that it's because of the previous administration's economic policies that Americans were left with record high inflation. Inflation throughout Joe Biden's entire 48 months in office was at or above 3%. It hit record highs, as you know. And there's a whole list of what the Biden economic disaster this president was left to clean up. It's been a month, but he's working hard every single day to do just that.
Follow up on the carve out. Sorry to cut you off there. The U.S. imported $43 million worth of eggs from Canada. I know you mentioned some of the exemptions when it comes to automakers. Will there be any other carve-outs, including for eggs? We know prices are soaring for Americans.
I always wonder why these reporters come in looking so angry and obsessed, like they're on a mission to take down Karoline Leavitt. And of course, they always twist their questions to support the woke liberals while trying to embarrass the right. But just watch Karoline's amazing response. She doesn't just answer. She shuts them down and throws their nonsense right back at them.
Is open to hearing about additional exemptions. He always has open dialogue, and he'll always do, what's right, what he believes is right for the American people. But again, as for the egg crisis in this country, the president is wholeheartedly committed to ensuring we're increasing our egg supply, and we're also bringing down cost. And Secretary Rollins has been all over this issue. She comes from an agricultural background and family. That's why she's leading that very important department. She wrote an amazing op-ed in the Wall Street Journal. She's been all over the media talking about her plan. She has a real plan. The president endorses it. And he even, gave her an off-the-prompter shout-out last night to say, Brooke, I'm counting on you. It's an important issue. And this White House is working with Secretary of Agriculture every single day.
How does Karoline always have the perfect response to shut down these woke liberals? It's honestly amazing. And if you remember this clip, you'll see exactly why Democrats always distract people with things like egg prices instead of fixing the mess they created.
Very disappointing.
So you didn't stand up for anything?
The president got before the American people, didn't talk about how he could drive down grocery prices.
They're always obsessed with prices going up, like that's the only thing they care about. Honestly, nobody is really worried about egg prices right now. But of course, it's not just one senator pushing this narrative. Another woke reporter had to bring up the same issue again.
The president campaigned on reigniting the Trump economy and fixing the mess that was created by the previous administration. We know they created an economic and an inflation nightmare for the American people, and I'm not going to stand up here and lie to you like my predecessor did about the state of our economy. We understand there are people that are hurting, and this administration is wholeheartedly committed to ensuring that those individuals see relief and price reductions and tax cuts and in less regulation regulations that are burdensome on their household and their businesses. And the president and this entire administration are focused on that every day. I can go through the very long list of economic actions this president has taken. I know you work for Bloomberg, so I'm sure you're well aware of them. But I can assure the American people that the president is very much focused on bringing down the cost of living crisis in this country that was created by the previous administration.
This is a perfect way to shut down a clueless person by using their own word against them. That's why I love Karoline Leavitt. She speaks with confidence, knowing these woke reporters aren't asking questions to help people but just to humiliate and stir up more chaos. But Karoline doesn't just sit back and stay quiet. She fires back and takes them apart, just like she did to this woke reporter.
Hearing from the president and his cabinet where they're on campus tomorrow. I hope you guys are excited.
So some of those cabinet members were caught off guard by the email.
Nobody was caught off guard.
A few departments said they were caught off guard. The FBI was, the DOJ was.
Did anonymous sources say that, or did the cabinet secretary say that?
The cabinet secretaries and others have said that they were not aware that this was happening. So I'm wondering, will there be a give and take tomorrow at the cabinet meeting? Is Elon Musk or the president open to any type of dialogue about who is actually in charge of the chain of command of these workers?
I would reject the premise of your question, Jeff. The cabinet secretaries have not said that. I know anonymous sources, probably career bureaucrats, have leaked that to many of you in this room. But as I said at the beginning of this press conference, everybody is working as one team, and the president respects the decisions of his cabinet secretaries to tell their staff, not to respond to that email because they did so out of interests of national security, and they don't want to obviously risk confidential information. It's pretty common sense.
That was absolutely stunning. I love how she shut him down before he could even push his lie. These people are desperately trying to make the Trump administration look bad. But guess what? It's not working. Instead, they're just embarrassing themselves over and over again.
Yeah, sure. Brilliant.
Thanks, Caroline. So what does it say that the Democrats, while they couldn't stand for Americans or stand for victims, they stood for war and clapped for war and clapped for 5 more years of war?
Yeah, the president addressed that last night, I think, when he called out Senator Elizabeth Warren and said that, again, as I said in my opening speech, very telling that the Democrats refused to clap for American people and American interests and American priorities, but they did clap for the country of Ukraine, which, by the way, the president's working very hard to end that war. So Democrats should be applauding him for actually doing something about it.
This is exactly how common sense works. And if you notice how the woke crowd just sat there, refusing to acknowledge a single good thing Trump has done for America, then the message is crystal clear. They're not here to help. They're actively trying to tear America down from the inside. Before we move on to Karoline Collins, just take a look at how she completely embarrassed MSNBC.
You've spoken recently about how what happened in the Oval Office last week gave Americans an inside look into behind-the-scenes discussions with Zelensky. Is this how he treated Joe Biden and just treated him disrespectfully and received billions of dollars?
Well, it's a very interesting question. I don't know if anybody in here asked my predecessor who stood at this podium about that, but there was a report from NBC News that President Biden also got increasingly frustrated with President Zelensky when he was handing out blank checks and President Zelensky kept asking for more. Joe Biden was quite frustrated with that. So again, as I've said repeatedly, Friday revealed the frustrations that this administration has had in closed-door negotiations with the Ukrainians. However, President Zelensky did put out a statement yesterday, which we believe is a positive step forward. And National Security Advisor Mike Waltz has been talking to his Ukrainian counterparts. And so we're in the midst of this. And
that's just amazing because these woke liberals refuse to admit how badly they messed up over the past 4 years. And trust me, as Karoline Leavitt pointed out, none of them ever asked real questions like this before. Even when they did, no one back then had the courage to answer them honestly. And now, look who just showed up, Karoline Collins.
Questions. One on the reprieve that is being granted to these 3 automakers for 1 month on the tariffs on Canada and Mexico. How did the president settle on 1 month?
The reciprocal tariffs will go into effect on April 2nd, and he feels strongly about that no matter what, no exemption, so that's where the 1 month comes.
So does he expect them to be able to shift production within a month?
He told them that they should get on it, start investing, start moving, shift production here to the United States of America where they will pay no tariff. That's the ultimate goal.
And on the conversations between the White House and the Ukrainians and the letter that President Trump revealed last night that he got from President Zelensky, Director Ratcliffe said today that the president has paused also intelligence sharing with Ukraine. Is that temporary or is that permanent?
I believe what the National Security Council told me in regards to that was that they paused or they are reconsidering the funding for Ukraine, as you saw, the pause on the funding. As for intelligence matters, I would refer you to either the National Security Council or the CIA as well.
But they're considering lifting or reinstating the military aid going to Ukraine, which they paused.
Again, it's a pause for a review.
This is exactly how Caitlin Collins operates. She doesn't actually want real answers. She just throws out one dumb question after another, hoping to trap you. But this time, with Karoline Leavitt, things aren't going the way she planned. I don't know why Collins never acknowledges a real answer or admits when she's wrong. But when it comes to Trump, he doesn't play her game. He just hits her with the facts straight to her face.
Minerals are in the east of Ukraine, not far from the front lines and in areas that Russia has occupied. Will you direct President Putin to withdraw his forces from those areas if there's U.S. interest there?
Well, we'll take a look at the time. We have a lot of area. It's a very big area we're talking about. So we'll take a look. I'll study that and I'll see.
And who would protect those minerals if they are U.S. interests? Would that be Ukrainian forces, European forces?
The agreement will protect them.
U.S. forces?
Agreement, yeah. We're signing an agreement. You know?
Right, but what if Russia tries to invade or there's Russian aggression in those spots? What would you do?
I just told you I don't think that's going to happen. And if that were going to happen, I wouldn't make a deal. If I thought that was going to happen, I wouldn't make a deal.
Some people may wonder why.
They ought to focus on CNN on survival, not asking me these ridiculous questions.
Why you have confidence that Putin won't violate a deal?
Focus on surviving, because CNN's got such low ratings. I don't think they're going to survive.
People will ask why you have confidence Putin won't violate the deal.
Yeah. CNN and MSNBC better start worrying about their ratings, because if things keep going like this, it's going to be a disaster for them. Honestly, just watching these videos is enough to see their massive decline happening right before our eyes.
Musk has obviously been doing a lot of work. He's been working every day, and a lot of the time weekends. He is designated as a special government employee, which means that he can only work 130 days per year. Is the White House expecting him to limit his work to 130 days, or are you going to work around those rules? Do you want to see him extend beyond the 130
So today is February 25th, so I think we've been here about 35 days, roughly. So ask me in another 100 days.
Hats off to the best press secretary ever. Someone with humor, common sense, and both inner and outer beauty. She's shaking up the woke crowd and even some of the View's audience. And trust me, if Joe Biden had accomplished even half of what Trump has done, the media would be celebrating it for centuries.
A lot of disruptions, and I just wanted to kind of go back to that. We saw Democrat lawmakers not stand for Laken Riley, for Peyton McNabb, for the son of a slain police officer, a 13-year-old cancer survivor. What are the optics of that nationally, just in terms of not just the people who were in the room last night, but across the nation? And also, was President Trump expecting this type of behavior when he was crafting his speech?
So I gave a quote to one of the media outlets in this room yesterday that Democrats behaving like children would be the least surprising thing of the night. And unfortunately, that quote did turn out to be true. I think the president and everyone, frankly, was surprised by the Democrats refusing to stand for not the president's policies, because frankly, we expected that, but for the everyday Americans who President Trump was shining a light on their stories. Mark Fogel, for instance, an American school teacher who was detained by the Russians. President Trump freed him. If Joe Biden had done that, they all would have been on their feet, but because of it came from President Trump, they weren't. So we think it's very sad, but we're very proud of the president today, and the American people are the people that this president cares about most, and the reviews are in, and everybody loved his speech.
Forget about the Democrats. All they care about is the price of dairy and avocados going up. Everything else, not their problem. Why would they care about saving lives or stopping illegal immigration? They don't. All they care about is lining their pockets with taxpayer money while pretending to be on your side. Before I end the video, I want to show you this clip. You need to see it. Thanks for watching, and don't forget to share your thoughts in the comments, like, and subscribe.
Yeah, Elon. He's a thief. You know what he did? He took my grandfather's Social Security checks away from him. Could you fucking believe that shit? The man depends on it, okay? He can't do nothing for himself, my grandfather. He needs to pay people to take care of him. Okay, you got people that help him, caretakers, people that come and mow his lawn above his grave, okay, for the past 60 years, okay, that he's been dead. Who pays these people? You think these people work for free? And don't you dare take away my great-grandfather's paycheck away from me. I mean, away from him. The poor man's been resting peacefully for 100 years. Thieves.